Howdy, I'm not dead. Before I continue, everything happened to me around the time that this started. So I never really said anything except for a vague tweet about white gays trying to center themselves in everything in a situation they should not be doing so. So I do want to say that I will link some reputable organizations that you can donate money to for the Palestinian cause in the description in place of the usual ones I have. Do not donate to UNICEF or Red Cross. They are not doing shit. So I'll give you some, reputable sources that you can donate your money to, because the best thing you can do as a Westerner, other than talk about it, and I think the better thing to do as a Westerner, other than talk about it, is to donate your Westerner money. That's the direct action you can take here. So I'm going to link that in the description and proudly say Free Palestine. Continuing on with why I disappeared for 2 months, at first it was because it was bat excluder season and my emotional and just mental availability was not there after being continuously yelled at by rich people with bats in their houses. It is the second most stressful season other than the spring, believe it or not. I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle it. I kind of shut down for a little bit there. It wasn't meant to be a 2-month hiatus. It was meant to be a month. And then at the beginning of November, everything went to shit, pun intended, unfortunately. One day, I come home from work. I take a nap. I wake up. I walk into the bathroom, and I feel a squelch under my sock. One of the worst sensory feelings in the world, but nothing worse than realizing that your bath mat has been drowned in potentially raw sewage as there was a flood in the bathroom. Now, the only evidence of this is the said water on the fake-ass tile and the water on my bath mat and the grime left in the bathtub, which isn't pleasant, but at least I know that the shower is draining. So I make my first mistake, which is buy a new bath mat and replace it. I make my second mistake, which is bleach everything and ignore it because at least it's draining. Mind you, this happened in February too, where, the water would not drain and I had to call maintenance because the water would not in fact drain and it flooded then. It hasn't happened until now. However, the water is draining, so I, ignore it. I move on. I don't want to deal with it. Bad move. Bad move. Should have dealt with it. One day I noticed that it upchucks sewage again. This time it didn't flood, but it did upchuck into my bathtub. And I go, I'm not too fond of what's happening here. So I go, hey, maintenance, can you fucking help me? There's raw sewage just being upchucked in my bathtub and then draining. Is this something that I should be, concerned about, perhaps? They promptly ignore me because it's a weekend. However, they couldn't ignore me for long because that following Monday, I come home from work tired as hell. It's 5:45 p.m. just to see my sliding glass door open. I didn't leave that open. I would never. And then all of a sudden I see my maintenance guy shoveling raw sewage out of my apartment with a bucket. I am concerned, aghast even. I walk in through the sliding glass door because why would I go through the hullabaloo of going through the front door when it's already open for me? And I am hit with the stench of raw sewage. And I see that my bathroom in my apartment had flooded and that the tub was filled with raw sewage. I am told by the maintenance man that he had a complaint about flooding in the basement, and that's why they finally came to help me. And mind you, no hate to the maintenance guy. He's a very nice guy. He just is not given any of the tools he needs to actually take care of things. Landlords be landlording, I guess. He promptly, with his 410 self, lifts up the toilet after shoveling the buckets of sewage out of the bathtub and into the outside. And he, uses his fun little machine that unclogs pipes. While he's doing that, I kind of go, hey man, love you, love your work, thanks for helping me. I need to leave. I already have some like sensory issues, especially with smells. So obviously any normal person would not enjoy the raw sewage. So I was overwhelmed and about ready to fucking lose my mind. Good thing I've numbed my emotions, because otherwise this would have been an issue. So I promptly drive to Jewel Osco, buy myself a stress bagel, and then drive to my mom's house to have dinner because I am not making dinner in the sewage apartment. Fast forward, I go back and he's taking care of it. And I go, okay. And, you know, he's bleached everything. I assume disinfected. I re-disinfect because why wouldn't you? There was raw sewage in my bathtub. I, you know, take that as the situation has been dealt with because that's what happened in February, so I assume that's what's going to happen again. That was my third mistake. The next days or so, I noticed that my bathtub is upchucking raw sewage again. It's not flooding, so I let them know that it's, you know, still doing this. And at one point, when you flush the toilet, you could see the water trying to come up out of the bathtub drain. So I was like, hey, obviously, considering the flooding in the basement, this is an emergency, even if it hasn't over-flooded yet. So perhaps you should help me on a weekend this time. I send this request on Friday, I believe, a Friday. On Saturday, I'm working from home for my job. And, you know, things are not flushing. I'm not having a good time, and I'm finishing my job. Right before I clock out, I get a knock on the door from the maintenance guy on a Saturday, and he says that it's flooding in the basement again. I think by noon it had flooded the bathtub a little bit, but like, what was I gonna do? It was a Saturday. I don't know if they're coming to help me. But of course, it takes their basement flooding for somebody to come and help me. I'm trying to finish my work, clock out, and drive to my mom's house again because I cannot do this. He knocks on the door. I'm like, come on in. I have 5 minutes left on my shift. Just do what you need to do. I will be leaving, probably. So, you know, he does his thing. He gets the raw sewage out of my fucking bathtub. He lifts up the toilet in all of his 410 glory. I clock out. He's getting it ready because they called an actual plumber this time. Who would have thought that we'd need an actual plumber sometimes? Not my landlord. So he's just sort of getting everything ready for the plumber, taking off the toilet from the ground. I am kind of being like, hey, I'm gonna get out of here. Did some small talk with him. All of a sudden, sewage starts spurting up from the ground where the toilet hole is at very rapid speeds. The maintenance guy bounds down to the basement to turn the building's water off. And I am doing my best, and at this point, I'm not getting any more bath mats, by the way. There's no more bath mats in this situation. I have probably destroyed 5 bath mats. Yeah, no, we're not buying bath mats anymore. It's floor towel time. So I, you know, sacrifice the floor towel to make sure that the water doesn't get to my fucking electrical at my desk, because the sewage started flooding into my fucking apartment, not just the bathroom. It started coming into the apartment. That is how flooded it was. So he comes back upstairs. He starts shoveling sewage with a bucket again while we wait for the real plumber. And I go, hey man, I love what you guys are doing. I'm going to my mom's house to eat dinner again. I cannot be here. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Thank you. Love you. XOXO. I'm leaving. So I stay the night at my mom's for obvious reasons. When I come back, things are working. Once again, I know they disinfected, but I re-disinfect because this is disgusting. This entire thing is disgusting. Anything that was touched by the sewage, thrown out. I don't want to deal with it. That is fucking disgusting. So, like, it's working. I stay the night at my apartment. The bathroom does not smell great still, but at least it's, you know, there's some bleach covering it. Come that following Tuesday, I get a text from my landlord essentially saying that when the plumber came out and did an additional inspection of the situation on Sunday. He found that there was a crack so deep in the pipe that they would need to drill a hole into the cement in order to fix it. He is telling me that I need to take all of my shit in the apartment out of the apartment for 2 weeks and either go to my mom's house, or he would give me a complimentary stay at a discounted rent price at an empty apartment, and then move all of my shit back into the apartment after 2 weeks. And he said he would give me discounted rent. Discounted rent. Obviously, everybody I told about this told me that, no, absolutely not. That is not what's going to happen. And by golly, that is not what's going to happen. I basically, because I was not planning on renewing my lease come April, I was planning on moving back in with my mom anyways, because I plan to buy the house off of her when she retires. I text him back being like, listen, I don't have the time nor the money to do this. So what we can do, you can either move me into a different apartment and I can stay there for the rest of my lease, or we can amicably terminate my lease without penalties on either side, and I can just move back into my mom's. I sweeten it up and I'm like, you could probably make some upgrades at this point. It's been like 3 years. You can, rent it out for more or whatever, way more than I'm paying for it. Just get me out of here. And he was like, great, leave. So I packed up all of my shit in a span of 4 days out of the apartment and got it back into my mom's house. And I am not living there anymore. Nicholas, why did you disappear for 2 months? There was raw sewage in my apartment. Good stuff, guys. Great. I'm doing great. Hopefully you're doing better.